Indian Coal Forum, respected Mr. Gautam, Mr. Kumar, and my dear friends. I must compliment Indian Coal Forum for organizing this seminar. There cannot be a more important topic today than logistics related to coal movement in the country today. When we talk about coal crisis, whether coal is available or not, that is not important. Whether the coal is available at the powerhouse is there or not, that becomes much more important. And let me be clear that today's problem of coal is not coal production problem. It is basically coal logistics problem. And when I'm saying that it is a coal logistics problem, please don't misunderstand me. It is not just railways. Logistics have got 3-4 components, as we will discuss later on. But then these are 3-4 problems, and all this chain has to be quite strong to ensure that the logistic is efficient, environmental friendly, and at the same time, it is capable to meet the requirement of the country. Coal, when we say coal, it means there are mixed feeling about coal. It is something like that we don't like coal, we hate coal, but at the same time we cannot live without it. We cannot live without energy, but somehow there is a tendency to oppose all the forms of energy, whether it is nuclear energy, fossil fuel energy, or hydro energy. We all oppose all the form of energy, but at the same time we are the consumption of energy is increasing day by day. And it is not just consumption. I would say we are wasting energy a lot. And if we can either we reduce the demand of the energy on one side, reduce the demand, or we increase the production. It cannot happen that a few consumes everything and keep on abusing others and saying that you don't consume. That is what is happening, and there should be some energy parity also. If we have to go ahead. And India as a country consumes almost 1/3 of the world average, and it is bound to increase. And if India's consumption increases, then there is no way in which we can meet the demand unless all the forms of energy or all the forms of energy are tapped. And for that, and India being rich in the coal, we cannot ignore coal at all. So coal, importance of coal in coming years will remain there, whether we like it or not. In Hindi, sometimes we say कि आपके बिना आपसे और हमारी बनती नहीं, लेकिन आपके बिना हमारा चलता भी नहीं. Something is like that. We dislike coal, but we cannot live without coal. Today we can say that let's reduce the consumption of the coal, but how? Can we become dependent on other countries for our fuel requirement? Europe is learning a very hard way that what is the impact of when they have become dependent on single source of energy. They have closed down their nuclear power plants, they have closed down their coal power plants, and they have become completely dependent on gas, and gas is available only from one country, that is Russia, not Soviet Union, Russia. And that is creating some problem in Europe. Can India afford that? I feel that for fuel and food, we cannot be dependent, and India has to become self-reliant in these two concepts. Whether we move to the renewables, that is another story. But till the time renewables are there, we have to depend on coal, and we have to exploit whatever resources we have to the hilt to make this India a country, developed country. We cannot ignore coal at any cost. When we say that the coal problem is there, we must realize that the production in the last 2 years has increased substantially. Last year, the production increased by 60 million ton, and this year we are targeting that the production will increase to by about 120 million ton. It will become 900 million ton. Out of that, 700 million ton will be produced by Coal India alone. Coal India has already increased its production last 5 months by 45 million ton, and achieving another 32 million ton should not be difficult, and I am quite sure that in this year we will be definitely breaching the target of our 700 million ton. And that will ensure adequate coal. Similarly, in the private sector, the captive mines, etc., are increasing their coal production. Last year, it was something in the range of 80 million ton. This year, it will be about 130 million ton or 140 million. In total, there will be 900 million ton of indigenous coal available. And that moving that coal is a problem. Railways have increased their capacity tremendously. They were moving something like 220 rakes 2 years back. Today, they are moving 320 rakes per day of coal. And all the importance is being given to the coal. Even the passenger trains are given a lower priority compared to the coal rakes. And with that, the improvement has taken place. And today the situation is much better. At the power plants, we have got about 30 million tons of coal at the power plants, which is perhaps the second highest. The highest was during the COVID period, and before or after, it has never been like that. So the situation is comfortable. But the way the temperature has increased in the last 7 days, it has definitely created some suspicion or some doubt in the minds of the policy planners that perhaps in coming days, we may face some problem. I would not say that there will be a problem, but I will not say that we are out of wood either. We have to continuously monitor it. We have to continuously make effort to ensure that the country does not face any crisis. And Coal India is committed for that. But when we talk about the logistics, I think there are three parts of the logistic. First is the loading point, second is the transition point, transportation, and the third is unloading point. To make the chain completely efficient, all these things have to be taken care of. When I joined, the expenditure in the capex was in the range of 6,600. We increased the capex substantially to about 14,000 crore in the first year alone. It was more than 100% increase, and the next year again we have reached the target of 15,000 crore. And this year again we will be doing something like 17,000. My investors were asking me why so much of investment in the coal. Coal India was the only company in the world which was investing substantially in the coal development. But that has paid today. And in coming days, when our FMC projects, which we call that CHP and silos, etc., are completed by next 2024, I think the first part of this logistics will be solved to a great extent. Today, Coal India, before this FMC projects were taking, today about 180 million ton is being loaded mechanically, but at that point 120 million ton was loaded mechanically. And in coming days, by 2024, I think it will be in the range of 450. About 600 million ton will be loaded mechanically. If that much of the coal is loaded mechanically, I think the initial problem, the first mile connectivity problem, will be solved to a great extent, and that will improve the efficiency of the whole chain. Today, if the loading time is 4 hours or 3.5 hours per day, perhaps it has reduced to 3.5 hours per rake. It will further go down, and to that extent, the availability of the rakes will improve. So the Coal India is committed to improve that. And second aspect is also there. We have noted during the COVID, when our production was almost on, but the transportation was a constraint, that the environmental impact of the coal production had gone down substantially. We have got the study done by NIRI also, and it says that by mechanically transporting the coal from the face of the coal to the railway wagon, we reduces this particulate emission, etc., by as high as 80%, and even the carbon emission is reduced substantially. So when we talk about logistics, this second aspect of environment has to be kept in mind. Means this is a very significant significant point. We can say that coal is essential, but then production and transportation mechanism can be improved to reduce the environmental impact. And unless we do it in an environmentally sustainable way, it will be difficult for us to get the social sanction that is required for the coal production. So that is the first part of the thing. Second part is the transportation. We are constructing certain lines, but those lines are small lines. There has to be, SBI has done, as Mr. Pati was saying, that SBI has done some study, but a complete study is required, and to identify what are the bottlenecks which are impacting the coal transportation has to be studied. Dedicated coal corridor is coming, but unless it is extended right up to Koderma, perhaps it will not be of so importance for the coal movement, but it will definitely provide some relief because other things will start moving through that. So we have to plan a very integrated thing, and we have to understand that coal is going to be there for at least next 2 to 3 decades. Unless we give up that mentality that coal is going to die down in next 5 or 10 years, we will not make the investments, and then the country will suffer. Coal is not going to die down so easily, and it is not the right time to write obituary of coal. So that is one thing. We are constructing certain lines. We have invested in there are 14 important lines which were identified, and most of them work has been complete. In some of them, work has been completed, and in the work is going on in certain cases, which are likely to get completed. In certain projects, we have started increasing more we have started making more investment so that line get doubled or tripled. The Tori-Shivpur line was doubled, now it is going to be tripled. Similarly, the Sardega-Jharsuguda line was a single line. Now it is being doubled, and the whole bulb, etc., are being constructed so that the coal evacuation from the Eve Valley becomes easier. So the work is being done. It's not that work and railways are procuring wagon in a large number. They have never procured so many wagons. But all this will take time. And the third aspect of this is unloading and at the powerhouses. We have till last year, everybody was talking about the two linkages, but nobody was talking about the last link. There has to be some reduction in timing being taken in unloading system also, and that unloading system needs to be developed. So this integrated approach has to be taken, and then perhaps technology needs to be upgraded at every stage. With the same similar infrastructure, we can increase the capacity by many ways. And for short term, that is a very, very essential thing. And if we can make some small investments here and there and improve the infrastructure which is existing, perhaps this problem which we are likely to face this year or next year will not be there, and India will be in much more comfortable position. We are meeting the demand of the power sector, but the power sector is not alone. We have to meet the demand of non-power sector. We cannot ignore it. If we ignore that, the development of the country will get affected. So to meet that demand and power sector, we need to upgrade our infrastructure substantially. And we have to have a plan in which short-term measures can be taken immediately and long-term measures can be planned efficient way. Government has launched this Gati Shakti project, and I'm quite hopeful with the Gati Shakti project, a more efficient way of doing things will be established, and which will help Coal India in development, which will help railways as well as Coal India in developing the infrastructure in a more robust way, and that will help the country to meet the requirement of energy. At the end, I wish all success to this seminar, and I hope whatever recommendations that are made will be quite practical, and they will help us in taking steps in future. Thanks a lot.